Welcome to My Empty Hands, a conversation about martial arts, focusing on Kempo. I am Reggie Darden, and I have Jamie Seabrook with me today. We're going to just have a little chat about Kempo, about our journeys, whatever experiences that we've had, and we'll just kind of see where things go, and hopefully we'll get some nice back and forth, and we'll just take it away from this. So just to kind of give a little bit of my background, I originally started Kempo in the mid 90s. I guess it would probably be around 93 or 94. Like I'm sure we're going to discover with many of the people that I plan to talk to. I got started after seeing the movie The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman. As soon as I saw it, me and my best friend, we just immediately knew that was something that we needed to do, and search for a school. Found a school that they represented themselves as Chinese Kempo. Come to find out that, I guess, to make things simple, it was essentially a Tracy's karate school. But after kind of doing a little bit more learning, I've come to find out that it wasn't a strict, I guess, wasn't directly a Tracy school. It actually, Ed Parker, before he kind of, I guess it would be a kind of a Kempo 1.0 at the time. But as far as the lineage of the school, it was Ed Parker, and then the Tracys, and then Dick Willett was a student of the Tracys. From there, one of his students, Orned Chicken Gabriel, was my instructor's instructor. My instructor, Pete Salas, who I will be getting to talk to on a upcoming episode, was where I got my start. I trained for, I guess it was probably about 3 years. Made it to my green belt, and was proceeding to go further, but I left for the Army in '96, and I guess that was probably the stop of my formal training. While I was in the Army, I did get to do a little bit of Taekwondo, a little bit of Hapkido, and also a little boxing. Was in the military for 3 years. Once I got out, I started to, kind of just do a little bit of training on my own. I wanted to get back into Kempo, but I just couldn't find a school that really I felt comfortable with, and I didn't really want to get into any other arts. So I just kind of just did my own thing, and just kind of kept my eyes peeled. Then I had the opportunity to get involved in another art that I fell in love with due to a movie, and that was capoeira, because of the movie Only the Strong. And so I got involved in capoeira, and I've been doing that for, I guess, coming up on 17 years now, and just in loving that, enjoying that. But I still always kept a place in my heart for Kempo. And a few years ago, I found a school out where I'm living now. I live in, I guess, let me jump back a little bit. I'm from San Diego, California, and now I'm living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. So I found a school out here, and it is an American Kempo school, and just kind of right away I just jumped right in, and just loving the training. I'm finding that training now, I'm learning so much more. In my previous school, we didn't do freestyle. We didn't work on like the terminology and the principles of Ed Parker's American Kempo. So it was really an eye-opening experience for me. Just by the time I got to my orange belt, I felt like I knew so much more than I did, almost about halfway, to brown belt in my previous school. So I was just really just kind of blown away by that, and I feel like I'm learning so much more. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is just to really talk to people, get their journey, their experience, and hopefully maybe a side benefit is kind of help unite not only Kempo people, but just martial artists in general, and just kind of get back to a better sense of just connection. I think with the advent of MMA, it's gotten more about things of the martial arts, I guess the kind of the respect and the honor, and the kind of Mr. Miyagi way of training has kind of gone away, and I would certainly like to see that come back more. So that's part of my story there. So I will let you jump in and how did you get started? And kind of go from there.
Sure. Yeah. In 1985, we have an annual event here in London, Ontario, Canada, where we call it the Western Fair, where we have, captivating rides and, lots of games, activities for kids and young adults, mostly. But at that particular year in 1985, I saw a karate demonstration that really piqued my interest. And I was going there largely for, the scary rides, the cool food, walking around, but I couldn't take my eyes off one karate master that was putting on a really, what I thought at the time, incredible demonstration involving weaponry, for example, open hand kata, as well as things like board breaking, which I didn't know a lot about at the time. And anyway, I was there with my mom and my dad, and I couldn't leave. I had to keep watching this demo. So the very next night, this is 1985, I joined a Kempo karate school. So I'm coming up on 40 years in 2025 studying Kempo. Similar to you, my original Kempo karate school was not American Kempo. It was a hybrid Tracy system. My instructor at the time, Mike Donovan, had been a student of the Tracys in the Pennsylvania area, but had moved from the United States to Canada. And there wasn't a whole lot of Kempo in Canada at the time. So I got my original black belt in Kempo karate in 1990, my second degree in 1991. And then as a second degree in 1991, I decided to move to the American Kempo system. And while there were, lots of similarities, particularly in the forms between American Kempo and the Tracy system, and a lot of the, traditional techniques, although they sometimes went by different names, sleeper, five swords, thunder hammers, ones like that, I was able to pick up quite well. I was very dedicated in martial arts, and that was my journey. So I've been in Kempo now for coming up on 40 years, and it's been a heck of a great ride.
Excellent, excellent. Has Kempo been the only style that you've trained in? Have you experimented with any others, or?
Yeah, Kempo is my home base. Again, it's the art that I've been studying the longest since '85. But it was interesting how it worked because my original school, the instructor there, Mike Donovan, had a direct link with Grandmaster Remy Precis in modern Arnis / Filipino martial arts. So I believe it was 1987. It could have been 88, but I think it was 87 that myself, Mike Donovan, a few others started to travel a lot internationally to go to modern Arnis training camps. I remember going to Delaware, to New Hampshire. I think we went to a lot to East Lansing, Michigan. And I became a student also simultaneously in modern Arnis, although that was couple years after I started Kempo. I was fortunate to get my black belt directly under Grandmaster Remy Precis in July of 1991, the same year that I got my second degree in Kempo. So there was a lot of cross training between Kempo and Arnis, and I think they blend together really well. And then to even throw another little curve in there, there was a guy who brought his son to train at the karate school that I was at, the Kempo school, and he was a incredible Kung Fu master. His name was Master Paul Chow. And so this would be around, again, 87, 88. And what Master Chow did is he took myself and maybe a few others from the school, 3 to 5 approximately, and said, hey, when there's no classes, do you want me to share some Kung Fu with you? And I mean, this is a biased view, but I had never seen anybody move like that really in martial arts, period. So I also obtained my black belt in Kung Fu in 1994 under Master Paul Chow. He's a very, very strong, good Kung Fu expert in Canada, very well known. But all the time, I kept my eyes on the prize, which I believe was Kempo. That was always my passion. And then in 1995, I opened my first commercial Kempo karate school, where I taught American Kempo alongside with some cross-training opportunities in modern Arnis. And I taught a little bit of the weapons because this is my opinion, Reggie, but I believe that weapons training helped make you a more complete martial artist. And I was really fortunate to learn so many different types of weapons in my Kung Fu training. So I gave that as an option alongside the American Kempo curriculum when I opened my school in 95. And I guess that would be almost 30 years later. I've never closed my school. So it's been almost, just coming up. Next year will be 30 years of running my martial arts program here in London, Ontario. Our location has moved, but I love it.
Oh no, that's great. Just kind of going back a little bit on the style. What was the specific style of Kung Fu?
It's called the Black Dragon Kung Fu. It was basically a mixture of northern and southern styles of Kung Fu. So you've seen a lot of the long range movements from high kicking, long range punching, and then it also incorporated a lot of the southern styles. Basically, what we see more of Kempo. So some of the Hungar. We did a lot of the traditional forms like Fu Hak Sun Ying, which is the tiger and crane form. And there was a strong emphasis on sparring at that school. We did a lot of, I guess to contrast it with Kempo, we did a lot of forms and weapons kata, and they were more complex than believe it or not, than what we would see in Kempo. But we didn't do a lot of self-defense techniques per se. We did that using sparring. And in fairness, I do accredit a lot of my sparring, and saying this in a humble way, our school has a really strong reputation for producing very good people in terms of their sparring technique. And I accredit a lot of that to Master Paul Chow, because he was very, very good at working on various sparring, kickboxing techniques, and we fought a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think sparring is definitely something that is, I mean, this is a combat art. And I think a lot of the schools now maybe don't do that as much as maybe they should. Um, I certainly would like to see that more in various schools, because it gives you a very confidence building. Uh, One of the things that I love so much about martial arts and Kempo is that it gives you these skills and brings out things in you that you don't realize that you have, or you don't think you have. I'm just going from my experience. I mean, I was very, very shy, kind of typical nerdy kid. Didn't get involved in any kind of sports, which is kind of funny to me because my older brothers are all sports guys. They did everything, and I just never never caught on to that mindset or that lifestyle. But then once I did get involved in training, then I started to build some of that confidence and that drive to to try to be better and to try to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And so even though I didn't I wasn't much of a tournament guy, or I mean, I probably could count on one hand how many tournaments I've been to, but whenever we had kind of our in school tournaments, or sparring class every week, was there and ready to go. I actually kind of have a laugh because for my senior prom, I actually went to sparring class instead of going to my senior prom for high school. So I knew I'd have much better time getting kicked in the face than trying to show off my dance moves. So.
It's interesting, Reggie, that a couple things that you said that I want to comment on, and I agree with you. The one is, I think it's easy to make someone look good. It's easy to make yourself look good when the other person's just standing there. Your uki's just standing there. And you know what? If I had a criticism of Kempo, it's practitioners and black belts, high rank as well, that only do techniques and forms. Because I think you need more realism. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is my opinion. I think the higher, sometimes what happens is the higher rank black belt that you get. I got my 6th, 7th, and 8th under Grandmaster Larry Tatum, and now I'm with Phasic Combatives Kempo Alliance, which is Master Todd Durgan, greatest guy, super good friend too, and mentor. But I got to say this, that sometimes we move up in rank and it's like people put you on a pedestal. And when that happens, you shy away from areas that can expose you, like sparring, right? But when I spar and I get hit, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because it makes me go, okay, what went wrong there? How did I get caught? Right? And what can I do to continue to improve and enhance my abilities and bring more to my students? Since the pandemic occurred, I used to teach students of all ranks. And then, of course, everything shut down. It was a terrible time, as you know. Since 2020, I've only been teaching black belts only. And that's been a really, really great experience with me. But even with the black belts, it's very important that they continue to stay on top of all areas of their training, whether it be sets, forms, self-defense techniques, freestyle techniques, whether it be weapons, whether it be sparring. All areas, I believe, are very, very important. And you also mentioned something about tournaments, which is interesting. This is going to sound so ironic when I tell you. And I'm saying this, honestly, humbly. I used to compete, a fair amount. And I've, through some trial, I did quite good. I won many national and international titles in fighting, in forms, in weapons, kata, and techniques. But I'm actually against, here's the irony, I'm actually against sport. And I know that not everyone agrees with me, and that's cool. Some will say, well, you need that to test your ability. But I really struggle with point system. And that at note, like I won 5-3. Like, what does that really mean? Right? Maybe my
Exactly.
shot. Yeah. So I've really developed. I don't want to. If someone loves sport, good to them, and I encourage them. And if my students want to compete, my black belts want to compete. That's good. I'll never. But for me personally, I believe that martial arts is about self-defense and, like you said, improving your physical conditioning, your mental health, and less about sport. That's just really. And then one other thing I want to share. In 2012, January 2012, I basically said, you're gonna laugh about this, but enough is enough. There's one area of martial arts that I can no longer hide from, and that is what to do if you're taken to the ground. So in January 2012, I started studying Gracie Jiu-Jitsu right from, the legendary Gracie family, Hoist Gracie's nephews, Henner and Hilon Gracie. And we did it through, and we continue to do it through the Gracie University program. And I'll tell you something that's been amazing since I started January 2012 is that if your Kempo did not work from a stand-up position, why does one think it's going to now work on the ground
Yeah.
when it wasn't even successful in the area that it was supposed to be successful from? So I recognized a weakness, and this is a big ouch. Again, people are free to agree. You're going to have other people on your show, but it's like I'm not like a title guy. Like I understand there's different titles that go along with every rank, and with an 8th degree you get the rank in Kempo of associate master. But I thought, hold on a sec. If martial arts is also, if we're being honest. The word martial, by the way, means warlike or militaristic-like, which doesn't coincide very well with sport. I'll just say that. But if we're going to say warlike, militaristic-like, like self-defense, how can anyone, myself included, this is a bit of an ouch, so we can talk about it, be truly a, quote, master if they have no idea of what to do if the fight goes to the ground? And martial arts is about self-defense. I just got to throw that out there. So I thought I as a 6th degree, I can't remember. Yeah, 6th degree at the time. No, yeah, 6th degree at the time. I slapped on a white belt and started Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it has been a incredible but humbling experience because it's a whole other area. And Kempos often, Reggie, counter that and go, yeah, but the last place you want to be is on the ground in a real street fight. And I would go, yeah, I agree. But what if you're taken there? And who's more likely to get back to their feet? Someone trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or someone trained in Kempo? It's not even close. People train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu up because they know what to do from that position, right?
Exactly.
So that has been a great experience. And I would say if there was one martial art, Reggie, that has improved my American Kempo the most, I would say Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, because nothing has changed in terms of my passion for Kempo. In fact, it's greater, but I look at things differently in terms of how I view certain techniques and how I might respond. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, totally. That's actually that's one of the things with my journey, and I keep getting reminded of. So, I loved my original school. That was great training. My instructor was great. We did a lot of great things, but the training that I'm getting now, we do a lot less we call air karate, doing the techniques in the air and not on bodies is really been an eye-opening experience for me. Actually, just most recently, so I just recently tested for my green belt, and during the test, had to do all the self-defense techniques on a person, and these techniques that I know. I've stumbled on some of them because I've been mostly practicing them, in the air, and it's a very different experience doing them on another person. The way they react, and the way the way that it feels is very different, and it's like you have that feeling of, oh yes, I really know this, and then you start doing a technique on someone and it doesn't quite go the way that you thought it would, and it's like, oh wait, maybe I don't know this as well as I thought I did. So just that's been part of this training now, is applying these principles, and it really kind of experiencing or getting a much closer to real experience has been just really eye-opening. And big credit to the Gracies and the UFC. I remember very vividly when the first UFC came out, and it was what all us martial artists are like, ooh, style versus style. Let's see what who can win and what style is top. And the Gracies, you could argue that the UFC, the original UFC was essentially a commercial for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but it really opened everybody's eyes to the you need to be able to work in all those different ranges, and you can't ignore the ground. I love thundering hammers as much as the next person, but someone takes you down, it's not gonna help you. So
now it's actually interesting you say that, because Rorion Gracie, who was co-founder of the UFC, it's pretty cool. He actually signed my blue belt certificate in Gracie.
Very nice.
But before a UFC, I don't know if you know how this all occurred, but when he had come to the United States, they had these, what they call Gracie challenge matches.
Oh, yes.
And they would occur like right in garages. People from all different martial arts styles would come test. And this is funny. This is true. This is explained all to me. Essentially and Hoist Gracie was part of this. Essentially what they would do is they would never hurt anybody, but they would tie you up, get you to the ground, put you in an arm lock, put you in a choke, just enough until you say, uncle,
mm-hmm.
or aunt, or I'm just kidding, or you tap out. And then they would say, hey, would you like to be part of our school? And what happened is it started to grow and grow and grow and grow. And they said, we need a platform, like you said, to show jiu-jitsu to the world. Now, interestingly, in those original UFCs, like, this is where I do struggle with some of the Kempoists that like to slam Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And by the way, I believe everything you're saying with harmony, that's what we want. But if we think of this from a critical lens, Reggie, when Kempoists go, that's not real fighting. That's in an octagon. I would counter that and go, well, hold on. The only thing you weren't allowed to do in the original UFC was eye gouge or bite. And in fact, if you did one of those, the fight wasn't over. You just didn't get your purse. So you didn't get your pay. So here's the deal, right? And how I see it is that Hoist Gracie comes in at, I don't know, 180-ish pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, a small guy. He had the least amount of fighting experience of all of the Gracies. So I got a young guy who was a 4th degree black belt. By the way, I got to throw one little tidbit in. When people go, well, if you've never been in a street fight, you shouldn't be talking. Hoist has never been in a street fight in his life. He still claims that. 0. So here's a guy that just said that his father, Elio Gracie, told him, I'm not training you to be a fighter, Hoist. I'm training you to be a teacher. So he takes all this technique and says, I have confidence it's going to win. And sure enough, He does the very typical Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We keep the distance, we close the distance, we get close, we tie you up via clinch. Maybe we do like a leg hook takedown, take you to the ground, side mount, whatever it might be, finish the fights. And at the time, karate, kung fu, taekwondo, doesn't matter. All of these styles were not prepared for what to do in those scenarios. And I've heard some people go, I didn't like Royce's fighting. He barely even hit anybody with a punch or kick. Well, to me, that's genius. Why would he start to go, I'm going to match the stand-up versus stand-up? He's going to stick to what he's good at, and that is distance management, clinching you and taking you to the ground. And if you think about it, okay, so in my same life, I should say, I'm a full-time epidemiologist. I'm a PhD, and I'm a statistician. And what I do is I deal with statistical odds. So what that means is if you have Royce Gracie and you have someone training stand-up, the person in stand-up might win. But statistically, their odds are much lower because what must they do, Reggie? They must land the big punch or the big kick and land that knockout shot. Whereas Royce, if he gets his hands on you, he has dozens, I take that back, hundreds, I take that back, thousands of ways he can tap you out. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Statistically, the odds are going to be in favor of, say, Royce and his technique versus the stand-up. So for me, I went, I can't lie to myself anymore. This is an area that I know. I can watch all the UFC I want and act like I know what a triangle choke is and a kimura. But at the end of the day, I want to learn some of that to make my Kempo better. And that's kind of the journey that I went. And again, my number one passion is always American Kempo. It's what I've done for 40 years. But the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu has really helped a lot and changed my way of thinking on many things.
Yeah, that's another part of what I love about Kempo is that it works as a good base for connecting with other arts. So, dating myself, but, of course, was a big fan of watching all the Panther production videos back in the day. And one of those ones that really stuck out to me was one by David German. And
he was awesome.
He mixing Kempo with jiu-jitsu, and I was just in love with that. I'm a big fan of wrist locks and arm locks, and so it's like I can do these nice little wrist locks with the Kempo strikes that I love. One that just never went out of my mind or went out of my memory is he would end flashing wings with a nice little arm bar or a nice little wrist lock, and I was like, it just fits so well. And me and a buddy of mine, we would, on the side, we would just like, okay, we're gonna pick an attack, and let's just work that attack. You got a right punt, right cross. Okay, I'm gonna start with this defense or that defense, and just try and kind of meld in all the little other pieces that we could pick up. We had friends that did taekwondo, we had friends that did jiu-jitsu and stuff, and just any little bits and pieces that we could get from them or get from whatever Panther videos we could get our hands on, whatever we would see in the Black Belt magazine. It was just like, okay, how can we just connect? And with Kempo, it just always seemed to fit. It didn't matter if it was grappling or kicking or something like that. There was always just this piece. It just always fit in so well, and so that's definitely one of the things that I love about it, and I love kind of keep coming back to it. And now with MMA being where it is, you can still see that the DNA of these different arts and stuff connecting, and so that's always been really exciting part for me. So
yeah, it's interesting, and it kind of at a little trigger there. Someone who I have a lot of respect for I also consider him a mentor. His passion for Kempo is just incredible. It's Grandmaster Dennis Knatzer. And I'll tell you why I'm bring him up is I heard him on the Mind Sensei podcast, I believe it's called.
Yes.
And he said something really interesting. He said, and I'm like, okay, it's exactly how I think, but it was nice to hear it from a senior like him. He said, make no mistake about it. If Ed Parker were alive, he would have incorporated more jujitsu into Kempo because essentially Ed Parker was a little stubborn. This is basically a paraphrasing. He always was thinking ahead. He was decades ahead of his time. And, you know, now this is Jamie Seabrook speaking, but my guess would be if he would have seen what would have happened in the early UFCs by Hoist Gracie, he would have went, we got to do something about that, right? And that is the cool thing is that Kempo is not a pure art. It's not a traditional art. It's a modern evolving format, right? Where we have this base curriculum. And I got to tell you, Reggie, I teach and just my prerogative, I teach the full curriculum, all 154 self-defense techniques, plus the additional 3 that were removed, aggressive, twin, spreading branch, intellectual departure, all 96 extensions, all the 1 and 2 sets, you know, everything, club set, form 7, form 8. But I also believe that there's that modern evolving. We have to continue to find ways to not keep Kempo stagnant. So once we have that base curriculum, what might we be able to do? So, you know, for example, I'll make one up. We have 5 lance techniques only, 5 knife techniques, right? They're fine. This is me speaking. I believe that a lot of them really lead to category completion, and meaning that there are moves in there that basically have gaps that we could do to work to improve our defenses against knives. And of course, as Remy Priestess, my former teacher, used to say, how can you really learn how to defend against a knife if you don't know how to use a knife? So what I'll do with my black belts is do a lot more of the knife drills from FMA so that they get that exposure. That doesn't mean they become knife experts, but they're getting that constant exposure of learning how to work with the knife rather than wait till 4th degree black belt where your next form is form 8, which, you know, what percent actually even get there?
Yeah.
Get to learn form 8, right? And
yeah, exactly.
And I have you know, again, I agree with you with what you said when you started this podcast. You said, I really want to unite Kempo. Like, double thumbs up for that comment. And regardless of lineage, like, I will say, this is me. I think there's 2 others in American Kempo that have done a very similar approach to recognizing that Kempo does not have grain. And that's Jeff Speakman. So shout out to him in the Kempo 5.0 group, and Mohammed Tabatabai. Same. Yes. Those 2 and myself, I feel, and that doesn't mean that others aren't doing it, but those are ones who really recognize that we have to incorporate jiu-jitsu to evolve Kempo. And that's kind of where I am with things. I know, again, you know, the danger techniques, for example, encounter with danger, leap from danger. What is danger? Danger is if you go to the ground, you don't want to stay there long. I get it.
Exactly.
So those 2 moves, we get back up. But again, that's pretty much it. Those are the 2, quote, ground techniques. It's not enough. Yeah. And even, Reggie, I would go, if you look at the RAM techniques. So green belt and below in American Kempo, RAM signifies tackle. And we always say Kempo is taught in 3 phases: ideal, what if, formulation. I'm gonna go time out here. If phase 2 is what if, this is something to ponder. Why do the what ifs not address adequately, if at all, if the tackle actually takes you to the ground?
Yeah.
So, you see, so a lot of the what ifs. Well, what if we did this? We did this. Yeah, but ultimately, if you're trying to tackle me, Reggie, it's usually not to give me a hug.
Exactly.
Right? You want me on my back, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
But yet we say we have ideal what if formulation, but none of the RAM techniques, in my opinion, adequately address what if they actually succeed at what they're intended to do and get you on your back. Well, you know, sucks to be you. That's not a great response, right? So Reggie, you're you could see, bigger than me. You get me to the ground, I have no idea what to do. My delayed sword's not going to work too good if you're on top of me now because
Yeah,
it works.
exactly. Yeah, there's no one art that has all the answers, and um, yeah, it's funny that now with MMA, and now that there's so much more connection about the other arts, that we still have people that are like, oh well, my art has it all and can do it all, and it's like, no, there's always somebody that knows more. There's always somebody that's better. There's you know
Yeah,
it,
and
it
even I don't want to make it sound like it's a BJJ podcast, but I remember fighting in a big BJJ tournament in Toronto, Canada, and I also witnessed something I didn't like. Like I don't like this. I didn't like the point system. I had the person in my guard, and they're accumulating points. I don't know why, right? And one time when I reached out my hand and I apparently tapped them in the forehead, and the guy says, ref, he's not allowed to touch me in the head like that. Like what? Like it's kind of like this is a real fight that fights stand up. But this is why I love, alongside American Kempo, Gracie Jiu Jitsu so much. And this is what I didn't know, Reggie. I assumed that all Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was ground. And I think that's what most people believe.
yeah.
Here's a bit of a surprise. What came huge surprise to me after, again, January 2012, I started Gracie. I have learned more standing techniques in Gracie Jiu Jitsu than all of American Kempo from white to first degree of the 154. They have so many moves that start from a standing position. And that includes not just wrist grabs, collar grabs, chokes, headlocks. That includes club, knife, gun, etc. So the Gracie focus is pure self-defense, whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is kind of an overarching umbrella, does in general tend to focus more on sport. And you said to me, and I agree, my focus is not sport. And this is why I'm so attracted to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu alongside my American Kempo, because I go, okay, American Kempo is definitely street self-defense, and so is Gracie. So harmonizing those two is just it's a great feeling. I love sharing it with the black belts that I teach.
Yeah, I've tiny dabbled in the BJJ stuff. I was, to be honest, not really a fan of it, just because of I don't really want to roll around on the ground that much, and I'm not interested in the competition. But yeah, I've been finding out, or I've been hearing more and more that the Gracie side of it is more self defense oriented, and that's something that I could get behind. I need to see if that's the case. So the Machados are out here where I'm at. So I've been interested in. I've been giving BJJ a little bit more of a look since finding that out. But yeah, I'm more interested in the self defense part of it, and not at all interested in the competition. So I kind of strayed away from doing that before I got back into Kempo. But I'm just so kind of in love with everything that there's not enough time to do everything. I mean, I was looking at getting back into Hapkido. There's a Hapkido school that's not too far from me. I just was in a Kali seminar the other day, and so I'm kind of thinking about, there's this online program that I'm taking a look at, but then there's also kind of the traditional stuff. There's a Okinawan Shorin-ryu and the weapons, and so taking a peek into that, because as much as I love Kempo, I would like a little more weapons. Even though some of them aren't particularly practical in today's world, but I like the traditionals. things as well. So, so many schools and so little time. But after my most recent test, I think I need to keep my focus a little bit more.
Yeah,
So,
it's definitely a journey. Like I think it was my purple belt test. My goodness, I was very young at the time, and I thought I should have failed, but they passed me, and I thought I didn't deserve to pass. That I was butchering techniques. Now I was a young kid, and the names were killing me, but I didn't think I should have passed. And I remember thinking after that, never again, never again. And then I think I was blue belt, and you'll probably know this name, Wally J.
Oh yes.
Wally J came to our school and did a seminar, and I left after the seminar. I think I was blue, and I'll say up to that point, when the school I was at, we were kind of forced pretty much to compete, and I always did very poorly in every tournament. And I thought, I'm not liking this, and Wally J comes and does a seminar. I went home that day and I said to my dad, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I know, don't take this the wrong way, but because of that motivation, all of a sudden I wanted to win. And after obtaining green belt, I had never competed in a martial arts tournament humbly and not at least get in the top two. And I think it didn't, at the end of the day, if I didn't get it, I didn't get it. But it's like, why am I going to something expecting to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
I was expecting to lose because I always lost.
Exactly.
And Wally J inspired me for his age and his skill level. And I thought, if I'm going to lose, they're going to have to get the best of me. And it changed a lot. And then my desires, I went in, knowing win or lose, it's okay, but I'm expecting to win. And that's just changing your way of thinking a little bit, right? Why would you go into something? It's like when you go into the UFC and you see someone screaming after they win. It's like, did you expect to lose? Hopefully you're going in thinking you're going to win. You're putting your life on the line, right? And that's kind of how I kind of viewed things, is I want to go in expecting victory. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I love that you brought up Wally J. So my original instructor did some training with Wally J, and we were doing a seminar, and then we were talking about small circle jiu-jitsu, which I wish there was a small circle jiu-jitsu school near me. I would be there in a second. He's talking about how small circle jiu-jitsu works, and we're all just kind of sitting there like, come on now, whatever. And I was like, oh well, let me show you. And I got to be the dummy, and he took my finger and proceeded to throw me all around the studio, and I couldn't believe what was happening. And he's just like, oh, try and get away from me. And he's got my index finger, and trying to get away from him. And this was when I was a young teen with a lot better shape, a lot more energy and strength and stamina, and I could not get away from him. And he was just tossing me on the floor, and okay, now get up. And he would pick me up on my finger and toss me down again. And I still just in disbelief. But that is amazing. So I just really, really, really love that, and really love all the arts and all the great people that have come before. And
same. And that's why, with all these great martial artists out there, Parker is really my Bruce Lee. When people, and the reason is that I recognize how many decades he was ahead of his time. And so I have been really fortunate to be able to teach this art for many, many years and have so many great mentors along the way. And I just want to, leave that and share that with people. It's kind of cool, Reggie, when the pandemic hit, we weren't allowed to teach it in person. I created well, I should just say my wife encouraged me to create an online class. We didn't know how long this was going to go on for. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't take away my Kempo. So I created an online class, which was literally meant to be temporary until the pandemic ended. We had very few people on, and then a little bit more. And now we have this. It's so cool that started during the pandemic. It was supposed to be temporary. We have an international black belt class we do every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have black belts from all across the United States join us, and Canada, and even sometimes Chile. And it's really turned out to a group where it's not lineage specific. We got people from countless lineages that come out, and regardless of lineage, we're all like this. And all it is really cool. I share my knowledge with them. I teach the American Kempo curriculum in a linear fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we on right now? We're on green belt extensions. Yeah. So we're working on that. And for people that, I think our highest rank on that is a 6-degree black belt. And our lowest would be, we have one that's just ready to test for black belt next year. But for that group, if it's above your belt, they're still getting better at the green belt base techniques. Mm-hmm. So we're getting many reps in. And you know what? It helps when I see black belts from all across US and Canada and Chile who are that eager to learn and get better at Kempo, increase their knowledge, increase their skill level. It just motivates me as an instructor to bring more to the table. It's like, if you hold the rank, you better keep it up, right? You don't want a surgeon performing surgery on you that hasn't performed a surgery in 10 years, right?
Exactly.
Right?
You got to keep everything fresh. And
so they motivate me and to bring more to the table every Thursday. And I'm super excited. Next February 2025, I'm going to be spending a week in Chile, in Santiago, Chile, giving Kempo karate seminars there. So that's kind of
nice. Nice. All right. Well, so I've got a few little questions we'll kind of get closed out here with. So one would be, what is your favorite technique, or maybe 3 of your favorite techniques if you can't pick just one?
It's often the one I'm teaching. I actually mean that. I don't know if I could handpick 3. Mm-hmm. I love so many of them. I honestly, it's often the one I'm teaching, because the one I'm teaching is the one where I'm zeroing in, trying to get all the details and explain everything, what it's related to, and family groupings and all that. I don't think I have 1 to 3 that I could actually name as my favorite. Same with forms.
That was going to be my next.
All right. If I had to pick, I'll say short form 3. Short form
3, yeah. Right on. I've always been partial to book set. That's kind of been my fave. I remember always liking long 3, but it's been a very, very long time since I've done it, and I've got to sort of relearn it.
It's interesting. It's interesting about book. You mentioned book set. I do book set as well, but it's not a required American Kempo form, right?
Yeah. I was a little disheartened when I started training at the school that I'm at now, and I was like I want to do book set, and it's like, no, we don't do that one. I was like, darn it, that's the one that I like.
Some call it the Panther set, and the Chinese sometimes call it the box set. It's a beautiful set.
Exactly. But I still practice it. So I got some practice videos from my original instructor, and so I went back and realized I remembered quite a bit more of it than I had thought, but now I can get through it, and so I've been working on that one in Mass Attack, which I've seen that you did video on that one as well. So, but yeah, book set's still my favorite until I get to learn long 4, and I need to find a way to learn Tiger and Crane. That also was one that
it's a great one.
always thought was great. Do you have a favorite weapon? Um,
Yeah, I'd probably say either the sticks, uh, Kali stick, Kempo would call them
mhm.
clubs. I say the sticks or the knives. I do a lot of stick and knife work because of Filipino martial arts, and
Yeah,
I find those very practical weapons.
yeah.
Oh, but the other non Kempo weapon that I do a lot with is the long spear, and that
Ah,
comes from
nice.
my kung fu training. I really enjoy. That's like my fun playtime.
Mhm. Yeah, no, the staff and the staff and the spear are always been my favorites.
Yeah,
Um, and then the Eskrima sticks probably coming in third on that. Okay, and then if there was anyone that you uh, could train with or have trained with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, who is maybe somebody that you would want to train with or have trained with.
yeah. So I've been fortunate to train with many of the Kempo, seniors, and I'm very happy about that. But there's two that I never trained with. Uh, Two people I've never trained with that I wish I would have had. They're no longer living. The first is Ed Parker. I actually met Ed Parker and had an opportunity to do a demonstration right in front of him in May 1990 at the Canadian Internationals tournament here at Western University in London. That year, unfortunately, he passed away. So I met,
Hmm.
chatted with him, and performed in the evening show a Filipino martial arts demonstration with. At the time, we could get away with it with live machetes. I never trained directly under Ed Parker or took lessons with him. So Ed Parker is number one. He'd be my top that I wish I could train with. And the other, the founder of Gracie Jiu Jitsu, co-founder, I should say, Elio Gracie. Elio Gracie and Ed Parker would be the two that, if I could make it happen, that'd be maybe sometime in the afterlife.
Exactly. Right on. Yeah, no. Yeah, for me, definitely Ed Parker. I mean, just as you mentioned before, he was definitely ahead of his time. Definitely, just visionary and and the art and kind of where things were going. He just had his finger on the pulse before anybody else realized it, and uh, so yeah,
For sure.
definitely there. Um, uh, had a chance recently to do a seminar with Bill Superfoot Wallace, and that was he's an just amazing person. Um,
Yeah, he
so
shares. He
yeah, I
shares
would
that several with him also.
definitely like to train with him. So um, all right, well, so we will kind of wrap things up. Is there anything else that maybe you'd like to mention or bring up or
There's
that
one big
would be
one, and I'll be really quick.
no
Thank you,
take
thank you,
all.
thank you for doing this. This is a real contribution to Kempo, and seriously, I really applaud you for doing that. I don't like to make it all about me. Without you doing this, people don't know all this information. So that's the most important message from this whole last hour we've done, Reggie.
Oh,
That this
right
is a
on.
major contribution. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm just excited to get to speak with you, and looking forward to all the others that I'm going to chat with. Got a few people already lined up this week, so I'm pretty excited. But for nothing else, I just like to hear the stories. I like to talk to people, and I just hope that other people can benefit as well. No one else listens. That's okay. As long as I get to hear the story, then that's
I'll
the
be
main
sure to
thing.
share them
So,
as well
but
as they come.
yeah, just all about learning and growing, and we'll just keep on the fires going, and we'll see where this goes to next. So again, I thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to see what comes next. And we will close it out for today. All right, thank you.
Thank you.